So Jack Whitlock, his key forward, got picked up by Port Adelaide. So Thomas Sims, a key forward.
Who cares?
Oh.
I don't care.
Sorry about that, guys. So, out of the ones that got picked, Thomas Sims, before I got rudely interrupted, we had Thomas Sims, Lockie Jacks as a defender, Job Shanahan to the Eagles as a key forward, Josh Dolan to the Bulldogs, James Barrett as a key defender, James Whitlock for Port Adelaide pick 33, and Charlie Nichols as a key forward for Freo. So that's all what we've got left at the moment, and that is what the draft is looking at. The Hawks are on the clock. What's wrong? If not, I might have to use the AFL app. Oh. Noah Moraz is a key defender.
2K time trial, and he'd only been running for a month after that injury. That's pretty good.
It is pretty good, and as we said, they wanted to strengthen their key defensive stocks throughout the trade and draft period. They go out and get Josh Battle as a free agent. They trade a first-round pick for
that's
They
small.
bring in another key defender in Noah Mraz. So they'll be happy with their work. As you mentioned, there were some questions, not all strong ones given how well they performed this year, but there were some questions about their key defensive stocks. James Sicily played some really good footy up forward. The question whether or not his best position was up forward, and might potentially see him playing there next year, given who they've brought in. Sam Frost had a really strong year. He's another one that can be relied upon down back now. So, yeah, they've got some really good key defensive stocks down there.
It's going to be hard to crack into that team in 2025, that's for
sure. What do you reckon Noah Mraz said to Mark McKenzie when he called him?
He said, I'm yours.
There we go.
How long have you been sitting on that Jason Mraz joke? Just in case people don't know that.
Well,
Jason
Mraz. You know what the game
At 172.
Watching those games recruits with Pack to the Rafters.
I love Pack to the Rafters, by the way, but that is another.
Yeah, well, probably.
So the Giants, there's some talk around whether or not they could trade.
I'm at 172.
Go back potentially, knowing that a bid for Logan Smith might come later in anything, but they've picked the Giants, so we'll see who they get.
Should we just revisit who they selected last night?
Three first-round picks last night, obviously, Ollie Hannaford and then Harry Oliver, and then they got the bolt of the group in Cody Angrove. So they'll.
Are you ever going to get that name right?
I think it's Cody Angrove. So we'll see who they take here, but 3 first-round picks, another inside the top 36 selections.
Okay, so with pick 36, the GWS Giants have drafted Jack Au, and he is a pretty handy player, Jack.
Yeah, there's no doubt that when he gets his hands on the ball, he's a really, really intimidating prospect through the midfield, 194 centimetres. What he's able to do in terms of his blossoming stage throughout this season, I thought the way he really projected as a midfielder in the second half of the season, in particular for the Rebels, was incredible. Not all clubs will see him necessarily stepping into an inside midfield role, given his size, but I think that's what the Giants have been looking for straight away. They actually visited him a few days ago up in Ballarat, so that's where he was able to perform throughout this season. But he's got a point of difference. He had a really good final series for them as well, and was able to really grow as the season went on. So yeah, his endurance, his ball winning, and his clean work around the stoppages, definitely something to stand out.
194 centimetres, so it does add that. Probably needs it. I mean, if you look at the Giants.
Now, if the Bombers go for a runner, Hamish Davis has been looked at. I think they had interest in Josh Dolan as well. Would they be interested in Lennox Hoffman to add some more speed and verve off their half-back line? I think they've been keen to add some running capability to their whole mix. Christian Reyes is still there. Hugh Boxall is a big-bodied midfielder, could be another option as well. Angus Clark as a half-back. Is still there, who played some really good footy for South Australia at the Carnival. So there's some potential options. Alex Dodson is still on the board too as a ruckman.
I'm interested to see where you both see Essendon's list as it currently stands. I mean, Elijah Sarr is such a high draft pick from a couple of years ago, spent a lot of time playing in the VFL.
You guys don't get to drop like us, drop us off.
What do they need from this young crop of draftees and some high draft picks that they've had in the last 2 years to take that next step and make finals and win a final and break that drought, Cal?
Yeah, I think the long-term approach and a draft-heavy approach is the right one. And they took Nate Caddy last year. I think everybody who watched Nate Caddy can see a pretty good player there in his first season at AFL level. Then you're throwing Isaac Kako to bolster that forward line. So to go key forward into small forward hits a couple of big priority areas for them, and interested to see how the rest of tonight plays out for them as well.
The pick is in.
It is in. We shall wait and see.
Their first live pick of the draft as well, of course. They claimed Isaac Kako matching the academy bid last night, but this is their first live pick where they'll actually go in and input the numbers and pick for themselves.
All right, and you remember Isaac Kako said he was with Slytherin hats because he is a Hogwarts fan. So I wonder who tonight's pick might decide to sort himself in. I loved it. He was so on board. announcement comes, and with pick 37, Essendon have selected Kale Girine from, I believe, Western Australia.
Yep, from West Perth. And another one who had some dominant games throughout the carnival as a key forward slash ruck option. He can do that and pinch it in the ruck, but he also goes forward and shows his agility, which he actually ranked in the top 5 or 6 at the combine for, which is quite remarkable for a player his size at 199 centimetres. So clearly key forwards were on the market for the Bombers. They nearly had a look at Joe Shanahan. They nearly had a look at Jack Whitlock, and they grabbed Kale Girine as a prospect too. He's imposing when he's up and going. An average 20 plus disposals playing Colts level this year. So keep an eye on him for the longer term. But could he be a good foil in the longer term for Nate Caddy, who's probably more that mobile player?
And they've addressed key position. I mean, they've had 6 first-round picks in the last 4 years. They've addressed key position stocks within that in terms of bringing in Nick Cox, obviously, and Reid a couple of years ago, and then Nate Caddy a few years ago as a top 10 pick. So they've addressed those areas of the ground, and Kale's obviously someone who can come in and play as that key forward, that mobile player as a ruckman as well.
All right, so Kale Girine joining Isaac Kako at the Essendon Football Club.
I think
Essendon
this might
obviously
be Christian Moraes, I reckon. This
Okay.
is the one.
There we go. And Port Adelaide made a very, very quick decision there. Obviously, Joe Berry drafted last night, a small forward. We had Jack Whitlock finally get selected tonight, a tall forward. So what they go now is a midfielder. So with pick 38, they have selected Christian Moraes from the Eastern Rangers. And we spoke about him before having such an excellent bottom age season. And you think he is one that has a lot of talent, Cal?
Well, he's shown that, and he's been a goal kicker. I've loved his ability across 2 seasons now to hit the scoreboard. He kicked 18 goals this year in 12 games, even had a 5-goal game late in the season. He's a regular guy who can push forward and really cleanly hit the scoreboard. This is his best game off the carnival, playing against South Australia at Alberton Oval, 4 big metros. So averaged about 24 disposals this season for the Eastern Rangers. Did the same as a bottom major last year, so has some good runs on the board, and they like his run and drive as well.
I really like what Port Adelaide have done here. I mean, obviously there's no losers on draft night, but they've got a nice array of players here.
They've got the small forward in Joe Berry, they've got the tall forward in Jack Whitlock.
Yeah, but I had myself a mute,
and it is a really strong midfield group and a really young midfield group. I mean, they'll be wrapped with what this midfield group can do, not only next year but beyond. I mean, you know what Connor Rosie's done in the past. Zach Butters is just about one of the best players in the competition. Jason Horn-Francis is about to become one of the best players in the competition. And then Will and Drew plays such an important role as that defensive, combative midfielder on the inside for Port Adelaide. They've still got Ollie Wines in there, who's already been such a great player over such a long period of time. And now Christian Moraes comes in there and add a different sort of mix, that forward-half mix, the guy that can go forward, as Cal said, had a game late in the year for the Rangers where he kicked 5 goals and can go in there and become that goal-kicking player as well.
So we've got 2 selections left in the second round of night 2 of the draft before we move on to the third round. So who are some of the names that are still left on the board?
Jasper Alba is still there. Hugh Boxall is another one. Tom Gross, Angus Clark, Hamish Davis as a midfield option. Luke Urquhart, I think we'll get a chance somewhere. Sam Toner, Harry O'Farrell as well. Still no bid on Ben Cambriali.
What's what I was going to say, it's almost a perfect situation now for Carlton. Unless the bid comes here, they'll be able to take a player at pick 40 and then match a bid on Ben Cambriali later. So you wonder who comes into their sights. There's been a few links to Harry O'Farrell in the past, the key defender from the Calder Cannons. So, yeah, a couple of players in their mix, and they'll be hoping that the bid doesn't come here for Ben Cambriali.
I knew it, so you couldn't.
Instead of a highlighter?
The same thing on that.
No, you know
No,
the
gross.
and they all connect together, and you can make them, like you can stack them all up and like make a circle. Did you not have that as a kid? Where did you get that from? Who are you, Caltoon? You're the tombstone. You're the draft goat. You can do whatever you want with that connector pen. I digress.
Yes, you do.
Hey,
He was actually the only one to find any in the office. Big office, not many highlighters.
So the Bombers have already taken 1 pick, just get everything back on track.
Yes, thank you. Please get us back on track. Okay, so
it's all the key forward ruck. So
what
we'll
are
see
they
what's in their mix here. That was their first live pick across the course of the draft. Of course, they
That
matched the
is
bid
it.
on Isaac Kako. They traded out of pick 9 in the knowledge that a bid
Oh,
for Isaac Kako
so
would have
it
come
won't
before
let me go to
before
class.
pick 9 had they stayed in that spot. So it leaves them with an interesting choice here where they look to strengthen. As we said, in the past, when they've retained their first round picks, and they have done that quite well, even though
Okay, so if I can do,
players they've brought in have been as free agents, so they've retained
if I do
their first
BFL
picks. They've
football,
got a nice mix. They've managed to strengthen key position stocks in the past couple of years, and they add to that with Kale Girine. Obviously, they've also been able to strengthen their midfield stocks of course, with Archie Perkins, who can play as that forward half player, and then Ben Hobbs and Elijah Sardis. So we'll wait and see now what Essendon does with pick 39.
Okay, well the pick is in as we wait for confirmation of Essendon's next pick. As we mentioned, they've taken a small and a tall, so Isaac Kako and Kale Jarine, who's a ruck forward, but obviously quite a tall player. So Essendon, with pick 39, have selected Angus Clark from East Gambia, a defender forward, so versatile, Cal.
Yeah, I think mainly as a forward for Glenelg at different stages, but also half back as well for South Australia, where he was able to show some of his best run and gun across the back line there. So I love his defence in terms of his ability to just pinpoint a pass and really get things going. He's able to do that, take a mark over a head. So he's got some tricks to his game. Mainly
So if I do
as a half-back,
Geelong,
but has been able to shift forward at different stages. But he uses
oh,
the
it
ball
does
well.
work.
And as I was just saying, he's one of the few, a number of contenders for this. They wanted some run. They wanted some movement off half-back. They've lost some half-backs as well. Dyson Heppel's retired, as has Jake Kelly. They've looked at other half-backs throughout the trade and free agency period. Jackson Pryor will join the Bombers, I expect, either as a free agent or as an SSP player. So that'll be one of the next ones to come as well.
We should
as a
mention
half-back as well, the former.
there are still other means to get to an AFL club, aren't there, Riley? It's not just tonight, it's not the be-all and end-all. We have the rookie draft tomorrow as well.
We certainly do. Carlton on the clock now. Their dream scenario has played out. No bid for the Campriale boys just yet. I reckon here they might be going the way of Harry O'Farrell, who's a key defender that's played some good footy, has links to Carlton as well. His dad is the club's lawyer who successfully represented Patrick Cripps at the tribunal a couple of years ago, in the year that he was able to get off and win the Brownlow medal in 2022. They wanted to strengthen key position stocks, so yeah, it's looked this way for quite some time. There's been some links to Harry O'Farrell right the way through this year, so we'll wait and see what the Blues do, but that had seemed like the way this was going for quite some time.
And they're still going to get Ben and Lucas Cambriale, so they're having a pretty good one after last night securing Jagger Smith at pick 3, the boy with the dancing feet.
Oh,
so I think Carlton fans will be pretty excited about their draft haul so far and how it's going to play out in the end. Obviously, Carlton should be a contender in 2025, that is for sure, with the talent that they have on their list. And with pick 40, Carlton has selected Harry O'Farrell, as you said.
Harry O'Farrell, guys.
His dad, Ben the lawyer, a key defender. Cal, 196 centimetres, if I can get that out.
Yeah, he is. And look, we didn't see the best of him this year through multiple injury issues and probably just a little bit of form too. But the talent there with his overhead marking, I think he's a little bit untapped. For the Calder Cannons, they really rate him so highly out there as well. Was a member of the AFL Academy and played for Australia earlier this year as well, in the VFL game against Coburg. So can mark well at both ends of the ground. I've seen him play at both ends of the ground too, but he's generally as a key back where he can stop players with that stretch and the reach that he has in the air. So that'll be something that I don't think we'll be seeing much of Harry O'Farrell in the first couple of years of his career at AFL level, because he's got some size to put on in his upper body, but as a long-term development player, clearly they like what they see.
And Cal, a shout out to his brother Jack as well, who we see a lot of times out at under-18s games, a mad Carlton fan, die-hard Carlton fan. I interviewed Harry earlier this year at the draft combine, and he said that he hoped, he's grown up a Carlton fan, he hoped he went to Carlton purely so his brother didn't have to change sides, because he didn't think he'd be able to, so he gets to stay a Carlton man as well.
That is very, very lucky. They've already got the Guernseys, they just need to replace the number on the back depending on what number Harry will wear at the Baggers. So good news for the O'Farrell family, and that is the end
There's
of
a few
the
midfielders
second round.
as well,
So Sydney Swans
and general
are on the
defender.
clock with pick 41, obviously the first selection in the third round of this year's Telstra AFL draft. And last night the Sydney Swans selected at pick 22 Jesse Detoli. Sam Marshall, they put a bid on him, obviously Brisbane matching that, and then Ned Bowman was a forward that they selected with pick 26. As we're just recapping here what happened in round 2 of the draft, with Thomas Sims essentially the number 1 pick of night 2. I think we can go with that, but the Tigers adding another tall to their mix.
Yeah, and Joe Shanahan come with a couple of picks later as well to the Eagles. Now, the Swans are on the board too. I'm interested to see which way they go now, because they do things a little bit differently. Sometimes the Swans, they can do some surprises. Riak Andrew, the younger brother of Matt, has caught interest as well throughout this year and has been linked to them too. They might want to get in early because there are some takers later in the draft for him. Luke Kennedy, a midfielder from the Sandy Dragons, is another. Reece Unwin, Sam Davidson, a VFL player out of the Richmond Footy Club too. So they've gotten to this point without a bid on Joel Cochran as well, their academy player. That'll probably come within the next 15 to 20 selections, and then they'll have a decision to make
You need to get
if
some
they
more
match it
games.
or they still like what's on the board themselves to take that on. So, yeah, big call now for the Swans to...
So I can play a few more.
Okay, while we wait for the Sydney Swans, earlier tonight at pick 33, it was Port Adelaide who selected Jack Whitlock from the Murray Bushrangers, and he's been good enough to join us on Zoom. Jack, congratulations to you, and thanks for joining us on AFL Draft Night Live.
Thank you.
Now, how are you feeling? Was it a little bit of relief? Because I know last night, obviously, Matt was selected, your twin brother, with that last pick, and you had 24 hours to wait. How has the last 24 hours been for you?
Yeah, no, not too bad. Kind of just put my emotions to the side and was happy for Matt. It was good to see him go to a good club, especially Finn as well. So yeah, I was pretty much just happy.
Yeah,
with
which
him.
is I
Well, this is
deliberately
your
do that.
moment, so we're very, very excited for you. And before Cal and Riley jump in with a couple more questions, how exciting too that you're joining Port Adelaide with a former teammate of yours in Joe Berry.
Yeah, that's unreal. We spoke to a bit before tonight about the possibility and wasn't sure if I was going to get through, but then yeah, I did. And super stoked with that. So happy to be with him.
Jack, did you have some contact with Port Adelaide and other clubs today during the long wait, I'm sure, for you?
I had nothing really today. Tried to my manager. I had a couple chats with Richmond, and then that's about it. We didn't really. No one was telling him anything, but had a late interview with him last week. So yeah, that was a good sign.
And also, you're at the footy club tonight. How was the celebrations when your name was finally read out?
Yeah, there's heaps of us here, and yeah, everyone just jumped on me. It was unreal.
It's a good young forward line there at Port Adelaide as well. We love what Todd Marshall and Mitch Georgiades have been able to produce. How excited are you to join up with them?
I'll show us your jumper again.
There we go. How excited are you to link up with those guys, Jack?
Yeah, no, it's unreal. Yeah, I'm so keen.
So keen, super keen. And how's Matt feeling? Is he around somewhere, or is he too busy celebrating?
Yeah, he's talking to all my mates still.
Why is he in a suit?
He's still, because we got, so everyone at pretty much all the chef schools have year 12 graduation, so I'm meant to be there right now.
Oh
But
no.
all the boys ditch graduation to see me get drafted. So.
That's so awesome. And Jack, you might finally be able to play against him now at North Melbourne.
Yeah, I know, yeah. How good.
Awesome.
Who do you think wins that battle? You?
I'll tell you myself, he'll tell you him. So.
All right. Well, Jack, go and enjoy. Don't worry about your 12 graduation, and congratulations once again. We cannot wait to see you in Port Adelaide colours.
Yeah, thank you. See ya.
Jack Whitlock there. I love that. And nice to be at the footy club with all of your mates, and they make that just such a special moment for the Whitlock family, and obviously celebrating with Matt. Probably a good thing, I think, sometimes for twins to be separated eventually, and they can live out their own journeys and not in the shadow of one another. Cal?
In a trade pop in.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, do tell.
Brisbane has traded pick 46 to West Coast for a future third round.
Wow.
So Brisbane were actually in a bit of a surplus. They had too many picks to go into the night. They got so many picks. At one point last night, they had 11 picks on their hands. And definitely not 11 this spot. So this one, they get this off the books. West Coast get another pick into
academy players.
So they've
that
got
are
some
still,
picks there.
on the draft board. We spoke
So
about
Brisbane
Hoffman
get
and Cole,
47.
who, linked
I think they've
to
gone down.
St
So
Kilda Football Club. They're Cody
Gallup
Anthony,
is a
who
key
might be
forward, which they
connected to
need, but
Hawthorn
they
from
get
MGA
pick
as
66.
well. Yeah. What do
And
you
then
think?
lose
bid
pick
later,
49,
potentially get him
66.
as an automatic rookie as a category B if he gets through. So that's probably his range. He might attract a bid later on though.
And then Malachi Champion is linked to West Coast. Do you think they'll select him at some point?
I think it's most likely at this point he gets through tonight and they were able to grab him as an automatic selection if they want to and can list him as a registered rookie, a category B rookie on Friday.
Who knows? Geelong might just jump in and do a bid that's a little bit out of the blue from what we have seen. And Ty Gallup could be a Geelong Cats player or a Brisbane Lion. We shall wait and
Who
see.
do we get? I'm hoping key defender and maybe key forward. I do not want another midfielder.
Good footy he was able to play for the Cats last year. Another trade is
Trade
in.
central at the moment. The
Tell us
phones are
about this
running
one, Kel.
hot on the Brisbane Lions.
Brisbane Lions again have traded pick 49 to the Western Bulldogs for a future third round selection. So now they have 3 future third round selections.
Making it rain with
Are
those
they just trying to get out of
sure that their house is in order before they make a decision, which their time probably has come to an end. So they might need to make a call on this one. Brisbane Lions, do you want Ty Gallup or are you going to let the Geelong Cats have
If I were Brisbane, I'd get him.
their first selection of the draft for 2024?
If I'm Brisbane, I definitely would get him as a key.
straight over the bid? Brisbane,
A
what
little
have
bit
you
of
got?
theatre. We needed something just to liven things up at the moment.
Let's wait and see here.
Okay, we'll wait and see with Geelong. After that, it's
They also, of
Essendon
course-
and West Coast who have the next couple of selections.
They also, of course, have Sam Day coming to the footy club. They'll select him in the
Brisbane,
pre-season draft
yeah.
on Friday. That was a manoeuvre to make sure they could get him. It was potentially going to be they're listed for agent, then maybe as a rookie, but it's going to happen tomorrow as a pre-season draft selection. So that's the only draft he's nominated in. Obviously, Joe Danaher goes out. He's not a replacement, but he can fill a bit of a void in terms of experience.
That's the big one.
And don't forget, you can watch the rookie draft live on atl.com.au from 2:55 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Friday. So that's the only place you can catch the rookie draft. So tune in.
Hi, Eagleson.
Live and exclusive. We're very much looking forward to that. And with pick 42, the Brisbane Lions have decided to match that bid from Geelong and select.
Yeah, smart by Brisbane. Got to do it for a key forward. Does definitely give them that third option as a key forward too.
What was going on, but maybe the Lions gave them a heads up and said we will match a bid whatever happens. So that means Geelong is back on the clock for their first pick. Still haven't made a selection, Riley.
They still haven't. So Brisbane now welcomes a third player that's been tied to the football club, Ty Gallup, obviously following in the footsteps of Levi Ashcroft and Sam Marshall from night one. Would have come a bit earlier than they expected, do you reckon, Cal?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. I think there was the hope they might be able to grab him a little bit later on. And they're looking at some of the key defenders, I think, in that sort of range off the draft. Now, the Cats have been linked to some of the players who are already off the board. So Ned Bowman, there was interest in. Jack Howe, there was interest in. Lockie Jakes, there was interest in the hope that one of these guys were able to get through. Even Riley Bias as well. Charlie Nichols was another. So they grabbed Alex Dodson as another ruck option for them. Lockie Voss is a key defender who they've tracked pretty closely over recent years. Actually nearly grabbed him last year before injury struck. And Sam Davidson is another who I don't think they'd be afraid to grab as a mature age player. So there's some options there for them. And now they'll make their selection.
Okay, well the pick is
they've gone for another bid.
Oh my goodness. We had Bidney and we had Bidmond. I just cannot think of something right now for Geelong, so I'll leave that to you two. But they have made a bid on Carlton father-son selection Ben Cambrielli.
Wow.
More of an inside midfielder, his twin brother Lucas. More outside, and Riley, this is what you were talking about, whether it would come in that 38 range, and no doubt that Carlton is going to match this one.
Yeah, they've made commitments to both Ben and Lucas to match those bids wherever they fall, or to potentially take them if there are no bids. So they'll get Ben to the football club as a perfect situation for Carlton in the sense they were able to use their second life pick, take Harry O'Farrell, and now they bring Ben Cambrielli to the football club, someone who had a really good season across the course of the year. And as a bottom maker as well, we watched him on grand final day, Cal, in 2023. He dominated for that Australia side out on the MCG in that futures game, and really set the scene for what he was going to do in 2024.
He did, and he just went on and on and on with it. He loves having the ball in his hands, as does his brother. He's a ball getter. He's not similar in some ways to his old man, watching his Scotty play his footy back for the Blues, and then at the Bombers for that end of his career. But what he was able to do across the course of a couple of seasons,
I forgot he played for Scott Camperelli.
and a ball accumulator.
I think it was 2007, pretty sure.
Even took up to every level he played, really.
And that follows in the footsteps of last night, the Blues bringing in Jagger Smith, another guy who can really find the footy at will. Ben Cambrielli is able to do that for an hour sample level this year.
And then they took a key defender in Harry O'Farrell just a few picks ago at pick 40, and wait and see. I mean, they're clearly going to match this one. So then Geelong, is Geelong just buying time now, because they would have known that Carlton was going to.
Potentially, you got to make these clubs pay though.
That
The
is
players you
true.
want, you got to.
How come no one made Brisbane pay for Levi then? That's my question.
Yeah, they'd already moved out their picks, a little bit like the Essendon scenario. They'd already moved out their picks.
Yeah.
So I think if Brisbane had kept pick 18, the bid would have come early. It's just the way the system in some ways.
So there you go, Ben Camperelli at pick 43. That is now confirmed. He is officially a Carlton player, following in the footsteps of his dad, who is, of course, a premiership player with the Blues from 1995.
Yeah, and adds to the long list of father-sons at the footy club at Carlton as well. We know the Sylvanis have come through there as well. Jared Wade, Lance Whitnell.
Kai's, which is the girls' side of things, Abby, and then they've got one still to come this year, Sophie.
Yeah, so I think that pretty keen to get down officially as part of that. We know Cody Walker in 2 years as well will have the choice to join Carlton
He's
as a
supposed to be
father-son
an
as well.
absolute jet. I've spoken to Andrew about Cody a couple of times. I know Blues fans are very, very excited about that, my dad included.
Will Geelong finally pick here, Cal, at number 44? Will they finally get a player into the football club? They've waited that long.
Come on, Cats.
We need someone to be selected for Geelong. You haven't made any selection this draft.
They, of course, traded out of the draft to bring Bailey Smith to the football club. We know what he's going to add for the Cats in 2025 and beyond, coming off that ACL injury, of course. Can't wait to see him in the hoops. But the Cats, we'll wait and see if they can actually find a pick that comes to them, because they bid on Ty Gallop. He was matched by the Brisbane Lions, and they bid on Ben Cambrielli, and was matched by Carlton. So we'll see what they do here.
And there's no obvious need, is there?
No,
These younger players, they've really gone for the different ways of hitting their list in recent years. Of course, after winning the premiership, they bring in Jack Bowes and also Tanner Bruin and also Jai Clark as well. So they went really strong after that flag win last year. Was a little bit quieter. Obviously, we're involved in this Arthur Radicali deal through that period too. But and then the Bailey Smith acquisition's a massive one. I think we've all forgotten how good a player Bailey Smith is when he's up and going. Out of sight, out of mind to some degree. But it'd be fascinating to see which angle they take on this selection too. Do they go for someone who can help them straight away? Yeah. Because they are in the premiership window. I mean, they finished top 4 and we're pretty close to getting to another grand final.
And they also brought in Jack Martin, of course, as a delisted free agent from Carlton. And I think he showed over the last 2 years that when he's fit, he can certainly have an impact at AFL level still. He just hasn't been able to get his body right. So he'll certainly hope he can get his body right now that he's down there at GMHBA Stadium. When he's fully fit and flying, he'll certainly be a player that can definitely have an impact for the Cats.
Got another trade here, Riley. Cal, what is it?
Essendon has traded pick 45 and its future 4th round selection to St Kilda for a 2025 future second round.
Saints are about to be back on the clock. That pick 45 was Essendon's. It's now St Kilda's.
Yeah.
And Geelong has made its pick finally as well. I can see that the pick is in for the Cats, so we wait and see what they finally do. We might see if it's another bid or if they've actually picked a player to go to their football club. So Cats on the board for the season 2024 draft.
Okay, fine. I feel like they were just buying time to work through what exactly they wanted to do, but I like it. A couple of bids from Geelong there. Had that in the past. I think Sydney, as we know, Bidney, did that a couple of years ago as well. Keeps things interesting. I like it. It keeps us on our toes. So pick 44. The Cats have finally made a decision. We're going to speak to, we just spoke to Jack Whitlock earlier in our show. We're also going to speak to someone from the Richmond Football Club as well. That's a little bit later in our show, obviously. This draft is all about the Tigers, really, with their amazing draft hand. And the boys, we don't have to replay that song from draft countdown.
Oh,
No, maybe
Night
we
of the
should.
Tiger, wasn't
The
it?
Night of the Tiger. It was last night. It was a brilliant night for them, and I think they should be pretty pleased with what they have done so far.
All Victorians as well, as part of their selections.
Was that a strategy?
We'll find out.
We'll have to ask either Blair Hartley or Rye Deashan a little bit later on our show. But for now, we're waiting for the Geelong Cats pick to be announced. And with pick 44, they have selected Jay Polkinghorne from the Norwood Football Club, a South Australian. Cal, what's his best attribute?
Well, he's a tall forward, he's got a leap, and he can get off the lead. He's about 190, 191 centimetres, so that medium tall size, but was able to kick goals on multiple occasions throughout this season. 23 in 11 matches for Norwood at under 18 level, so presents and gets off his opponent really well and converts his shots. Look, he's got a booming kick on him, so we saw that at different stages throughout this season, playing for Norwood and also South Australia.
And you wonder if they did need a bit of...
Good pick up for the Cats.
I mean, Jeremy Cameron is about to turn 32 next year. We know the impact that he's had at Geelong over such a long period of time. Tom Hawkins recently retired, so they did need to replenish that forward line a little bit, particularly with the bigger bodies. Jay Polkinghorne, I think he's about 191, 192 centimetres out of South Australia this year, so a bit of height and a bit of presence in that Geelong forward line.
Can't replace Tom Hawkins.
No, you can't, but you can try.
No, exactly. They've been planning for life without him for
So
a
it's a
little while
move
as
into
well.
this spot, Cal.
Yeah, I think they would clearly rank a couple of players around this point who might be still available for them to get into this point of the draft. I think Hugh Box will be a chance. Patrick Setz caught some interest as well, played from the Collingwood Cannons from them as well. So they're potentially in the mix. Just for Alga, probably still a little bit further back too.
All right, well, the pick is in, and Saints fans, they wanted a midfielder. We're saying that Toby Travalia could be that midfielder that they're after. And then Alex Taru, their key defender, they scored last night, the Flying Viking. James Barat, a defender forward, a versatile player, was selected at pick 32. And with pick 45, we wait and see who they have selected. And they have selected a midfielder from the Claremont Football Club in Hugh Boxall. Cal, you mentioned his name before. He's got maybe a few Josh Dunkley-like traits in terms of his size.
Yeah, he does. He's a worker, 187 centimetres. He's tough. He's really strong at the clearances. He gets in the way of opponents, and they struggle to get around him sometimes. So he's a contested player. He doesn't flinch around the contest. So I think we saw that as well at the combine with some of his athleticism and his running. So he ran a 6:08 minute 2-kilometre time trial with that WA State Combine, which was among the best across the whole country throughout the combine. Was third in the agility test as well there at a time under 8 seconds. So he's got the moves around the stoppages, and we see that coming to the fore as the season went on. He rose as a bit of a smoky as the year developed, and he's got that game awareness through the midfield to get out of trouble.
I do like that because Ross Lyon loves his runners. We know how much he loves running power across the course of the field. They bring in Toby Travalia last night, who's clearly got that running power. And now Hugh Boxall, another one. You mentioned his 2-kilometre time trial time. Cal is one that can run and cover the ground. Ross Lyon's also been calling for midfielders all year. I can't remember the amount of times that he said in post-match press conferences we need more support for Jack Steele and around there. Hugh Boxall is another player with that presence at stoppages, and he's got that tackling power and that ability to win his own footy as well. So ticks a couple of boxes that the Saints desperately needed.
And we saw that social video, and we saw that social video. Cuddly Ross was back. He was giving a big cuddle to Alex Tauru and Toby Travalia last night's draft. I wonder if Hugh's going to get one of those big Ross cuddles.
Well, maybe when he gets here, but it might be hard for him to play on.
Hey, why don't I fly over? Well, when he gets to the club, certainly.
Yeah,
And it happens quickly, doesn't
Been a
it?
big draft night for the Saints too. They've still got some selections up their sleeve.
They do. Yeah, they
The
certainly
West Coast is
do.
on the clock now. And let's not forget also, just getting back to that St Kilda pick, they traded up to get that selection. So I wonder if they thought
the trade of
the West Australian club, West Coast, is about to be on the clock. Do we need to get in ahead of them to try to
So they obviously had him just behind there, I think. So you were able to go back and probably offered that deal to a few different clubs and went up and tried to take him.
Collingwood is next.
You cannot get your player that you want.
And do you think he would have been someone that would have been West Coast sides as another local prospect? They took Bowen on last night.
Yeah, a little bit. He wasn't linked as much to West Coast in the lead up, but he did have a few takers, I think, throughout the draft. So it kind of surprises me a little bit that he got to this point, but that's the way it's fallen. Now West Coast are on the clock.
Yeah, so let's take a look at West Coast. You mentioned Bo Allen there, Riley, pick 16. That was last night. Today they've already taken Joe Shanahan. So a tall forward, that was at pick 30. Quite a highly rated tall forward as well, who was still left over on the board from last night. So what do you think it is that they need at this next pick?
Well, I just think it's best available the whole way through. I don't think any position needs that. They're a club that's clearly in a redeveloping phase. Anthony McAlter coming in as their new coach. You wonder if it's someone's going to fit his game style. We spoke to Longettable earlier this week, and he said he wanted to play that quick forward half turnover game, which was what he helped implement at Richmond throughout their premiership successful years in 2017, 2019, and 2020. So you wonder if it's a type of player like that. They've gone with height and presence with their first two picks, Bowen and Joe Cahan, two big players, and we'll see what they do here before Collingwood gets on the clock with their first pick of the night. So
it's been a long wait for Pies fans, hasn't it? Yeah, so Hawthorn, Geelong and Collingwood, obviously the three clubs. But with pick 46, the West Coast Eagles have taken Tom Gross from the Oakley Chargers. Someone who can be damaging both in the midfield and forward, Cal.
Yeah, you can, and we've seen that across a couple of seasons. I love his overhead marking for a player whose size, 181 centimetre midfield forward option, who can go forward and hit the scoreboard. We've seen him do that for the Oakley Chargers and also for Vic Metro across this season as well. He always reminded me a little bit of a Rory Sloane type of player. I think there's something about it, the way he attacked the contest. He's got some ferocity in his game and a glint in his eye. So he can bob up, kick a goal, as I spoke about, and he'll be wrapped to head over to the...
Come on, Collingwood.
Club there. Remember, Rory Sloane was a pick in the 40s as well all those years ago too. So there's a little bit of similarity in the way they shuffle and walk as youngsters. Maybe he can be that type of player. Hopefully, if he's half the player as that, I think the West Coast Eagles will be pretty happy.
Wasn't Lachie Neale like pick 58 or something ridiculous? So but some of these picks, you can find gold at the back end of the draft. We just don't know. It takes some players a little bit longer to develop. Certainly does, in particular after those COVID years too, Cal.
Yeah, that's right. He's put together a good CV over a couple of years now.
All right, now we've got Collingwood on the clock. They are the last club that hasn't yet had a pick, so
here we go,
on the clock. We'll wait and see what they do. Of course, they had a big trade period led by, again, bringing in Dan Houston and then Harry Perryman, obviously, as a free agent, but they traded a lot to get Dan Houston. It's the reason why they're starting this year's draft at pick 47. They also brought in Tim Membry as a delisted free agent, so we'll wait and see what the Pies do. They've been linked pretty heavily with some key defenders in the lead up to the draft.
Yeah, Norton Rose, I think if they'd got him through, they would have probably taken him. Riak Andrew is a chance. Adrian Cole, there's some interest. Lockie Voss, there's been some interest. Charlie West, the key forward, there's some interest in him as well. They're talking about some key defensive options here. Sam Davidson is still on the board as well, so they grabbed him to bring him in. And they've also been, we wrote about in the Phantom Draft earlier this week about their interest in Joel Cochran, the Swans Academy player.
It might be Joel Cochran as well, because the bid is pending, and there it is.
Yeah, they've been all over Joel Cochran for a while now, and I'm fascinated to see which call the Swans make now. This is line ball, I think, for them, if they match this one or if they don't. They haven't committed to absolutely matching in the lead up to the draft, so we wait now to see if the Swans do match it and take the academy player who ran the best 2-kilometre time trial time at the draft combine in October. He's a nice size, he's really athletic, and we saw that in flashes throughout his championships for the Allies. Now, obviously, Collingwood's interest in him is real, and they like those athletic runners. It's been a part of their deal across time.
I was going to say, it's the 194 centimetre prospect who can defend really well as well, Carl. Is that where you see him starting his career, be it at Sydney or potentially Collingwood?
Yeah, probably. I think that's probably where he fits in, and he fits that mould of the runner who can move up and down the ground.
Wow. Okay, so we'll wait and see what Sydney do in terms of matching this bid from Collingwood. But I do like that all of these clubs are starting to bid on other players linked to the academy. Makes things interesting for sure. So we've had Geelong bid on Ty Gallup, a Brisbane Academy player, and they were able to match that Brisbane, and then Camprielli as well from Geelong.
Oh, okay.
So Sydney have passed. So Joel Cochran is now a Collingwood.
Yes!
47. I wonder if the Swans had given him a heads up
said, it was line ball at this point. I think if they were going to match that or not. So they obviously have decided not to. Yeah, he's a state level athlete in the 400 metre and 800 metre event. So he stood out in combine as we spoke
We
about.
finally got a key defender.
And 5 marks for the Allies playing for them. But given his height and
We got it.
there's no doubt that we'll see bits and pieces of him develop. Obviously, Patrick Lipinski is that sort of taller runner. He's not going to be that. This guy's a key defender in a lot of ways, but I think his athleticism as well can mean he might be on the wing on the other side to Lipinski at different stages. They've gone for this type of player across time.
Yeah.
Ed Allen a couple of years ago. So there's some similarities there in terms of athleticism. All right, so what have we got next? We've got
West Coast back on the clock. So they've taken a couple of picks already. Tom Gross, obviously, Joe Shanahan earlier in the night, and of course Bo Allen on night one. So West Coast up with their 4th pick of the draft. We spoke about them as well, Cal, on the lead up to the draft, potentially wanting to take multiple picks in this area of the draft. So who were some of the players still on the board, do you reckon?
They've looked at Sam Davidson as well. He's got some similarities to.
We need a key defender too. Next.
Also, Tom Bell is a tall they've looked at different stages as well. That might be a later or rookie option potentially for them, given especially they've already brought in Joe Shanahan too. But they obviously brought back into this pick. They brought back in to get back involved as part of the draft, as part of that deal.
And then the other thing we'd spoken about, Cal, as well, is the fact that Gold Coast have had the bid on Leo Lombard, which they matched on night one, and they entered the draft with their first live pick of the night. So some of these clubs haven't had much of a live presence. Collingwood, of course, haven't had a pick throughout the first night. They just had their first pick, took Joel Cochran. Gold Coast only were able to match the bid. They'll start coming in the proceedings now. Collingwood's got another pick right after them as well. So this is another really interesting part. We spoke about the cat and mouse that happened on the first night for the early picks. There's some cat and mouse going on between the clubs that have later picks as well now.
Yep, there is. And how much intelligence the clubs have about other selections and what's coming next is important as well at this point of the draft too, because often it's not like the start of the draft where everyone really likes generally the same 15 players because they've kind of established themselves in that group, and give or take a few different names, they're pretty similar lists. Whereas this point of the draft, generally the players that they're picking, sometimes they've only had 5, 6, 7 interviews across the course of the season, so that can change the dynamic of what kind of decision the clubs make.
Well, can I ask you, because no one knows draft intelligence quite like you, and the DI that's come into it, and clubs are always trying to find information, they're always trying to see what other clubs are doing. There's so much at the top end of the draft, it's why you're so good at compiling your phantom drafts. But is there that type of draft intelligence at this stage of the draft?
There is. Look, it takes some work, but there is some time where some clubs have put extra time into these type of guys later on in the piece where you do know bits and pieces, and you have to maybe study some of the back end guys even a little bit harder to get to know them a little bit more as well. So that's something that you do have to keep in mind for these selections.
All right, West Coast pick is in, so they've gone with their 4th selection now. We'll wait and see what they do now.
Yeah, so West Coast, as we take a look back, Bo Allen, Joe Shanahan, a tall forward, and then Tom Gross with their latest pick, 46, who is a mid-forward. So this is their 4th selection for this year's draft, pick 48. And we see who they have taken. It is Luca Grego from, I just missed that.
The Western Jets.
The Western Jets, that's right.
So he's a medium defender, played for the Big Metro side as well throughout this year. Running carry player. He averaged about 13, 14 touches playing for him. We see some of this dash here playing at Alberton Oval. He knows Alberton Oval well because he's actually a cousin of Zach Butters.
Really?
Yeah, he's obviously the Port Adelaide superstar. One of my favourite players in the competition. So he's been really consistent throughout this season as well for the Western Jets as one of their best players across the board, averaging 23 touches and plenty of drive as well. So Luca Grego joins the Eagles, and clearly they've identified that as a bit of a need off half back.
Yeah.
Very, very
With
nice.
some speed as well. He's got that turn of foot, which they might be pushing to add to their mix.
And a couple of those players now that have taken off the ball for their last 2 picks in Tom Gross and Luca Grego, who have been a presence at Coates Talent League level right the way through the year and had really consistent seasons, both of them in different roles, but have played as good a footy as they could have hoped for.
Now, we linked Cooper Bell to the Suns as well through the earlier in the week Phantom draft, so they are a chance for him as well.
Potentially, because the bid's pending, Cal, so I wonder if that is for him.
Well, there you go, Cooper Bell, it is. So we'll see if the Giants match that bid.
I don't think they will.
Gold Coast hasn't had a selection at all, really, because they just matched the bid last night from St Kilda on Leo Lombard, who was never going anywhere other than the Gold Coast Suns. He's an absolute star midfielder, is Leo Lombard. So now they're Giants key defender in Cooper Bell.
Yeah, my mullet. There's the mullet. Bing Bell. See Bell.
I do love a mullet.
There would be a surprise, I think, now if they match this.
Yeah.
I think the likelihood is that they don't match. I've been surprised before on this desk, and I've been surprised again. But I think the likelihood is that he gets to the Suns at this point. Look, they're pretty well stocked, the Giants. There'll be a decision they have to make at this stage of the draft. They obviously have their own academy players still to come as well in Logan Smith.
Okay, and if we look at who the Giants have already selected, Oliver Hannaford, Harry Oliver, Cody Angrove, and of course Jack Howard, the midfielder they selected tonight at pick 36, as you can see there, and still potentially Logan Smith, a ruck to come as part of their academy. So how unsure if the Giants will match this bid, and if not, then Cooper Bell becomes a Gold Coast Sun, which he has. So with pick 49, Gold Coast has selected Cooper Bell, and the Giants have opted to pass in this situation.
Yeah, he's 199 centimetres as a key back. He played for the Allies. It's hard to ignore his mullet. He had a few clubs looking at him at this stage of the draft as well. Got a good turn of speed too. He ran about a 3-second 20-metre sprint, so can keep up with the best key forwards in it.
How about whoever's watching, don't forget to drop a like or drop a sub.
And hit the scoreboard. So a little bit to do at both ends. I think the Suns will be identifying him as a defensive option though to bring into their group.
So the Giants passing there. So they're still on 4 selection. Gold Coast with the 2 selections, Leo Lombard, and now Cooper Bell, the man with the mullet. So it means that Collingwood is on the clock. And as we just discussed earlier, they've had a couple of selections tonight. So Joel Cochran making his way to the Collingwood Football Club after Sydney decided not to match that bid, and that's just their sole selection for this draft, in fact. So this is their second pick. What are you expecting from them?
Well, you wonder if they go back to that key defensive pool that we spoke about and some of the names there in terms of Riak Andrew, Adrian Cole, the types that have been linked to them. Sam Davidson, another one that we've spoken about a couple of times tonight, who played really well and some really good footy for Richmond's VFL side as a mature age prospect. Whether or not someone like him could be in their mix. They've been linked to key defenders, haven't they?
They have, but also athletic types too. Nathaniel Stolzberger, they've done some work on him. Lucas McInerney, they've done some work on him as well as another runner out of the Northern Knights. So there's some different options for them if they don't go tall.
Did you see him?
All right, let's see what Collingwood has done. Well, it's obvious they've selected a player. They haven't made a bid. Just on Riak Andrew, would Melbourne match a bid?
More unlikely, I think.
Okay.
More
Also
unlikely.
the younger brother of Mac Andrew, and at the time that Mac Andrew was in the draft system, Melbourne couldn't match a bid in the top 40. That's when the academy rules were different. They have changed this year, of course, where you can match a bid anywhere at any stage during a draft. So I think some D supporters are still filthy about that Mac Andrew.
They're needing to get some youth into the football club, Collingwood. They've got 12 players over the age of 30 going into season 2025. So they've needed to bring in some later picks in this year's draft. Of course, they went pretty heavy on training free agency. And they've made their pick here with Charlie West out of South Australia.
The key forward, 194 centimetre prospect from Woodville West Torrens, was able to show his presence at different stages. So
Charlie West, we got the key forward.
He's still pretty raw. He was one of the key forwards and key defenders that the Pies have been looking at for some time. He also has pretty tight links with the AFL. His grandfather, well, he used to be the boss here, Wayne Jackson. So pretty tight, the CEO there. Pretty tight links to the AFL. Ranked 6th in the 20-metre sprint at the draft combine with a time of 2.96 seconds. So that's a big guy with some power at 194 centimetres.
The Western Bulldogs have had how many selections tonight? They've had 3 selections tonight, and they are like 30 seconds, bang, bang, bang. Can we get something? Yeah, I know. Other clubs need to get on board with this, so we're not here all night. But I like what the Western Bulldogs are doing. Cooper Hines, Lockie Jakes, and Josh Dolan so far selected for the Bulldogs in their 2024 Telstra AFL draft. Who will they add to their next pool? We shall wait and see what they like. They've already got a forward who can push into the midfield, a medium-sized defender, and then a midfielder. So just waiting to see what else they would like to add to their pool. And they have added pick 51, Sam Davidson from Richmond's VFL side also plays his junior footy at Ormond Football Club. A shout out to my local, and he's a 191cm forward who's had a terrific year in the VFL.
Yeah, and taken a lot of interest as well in the lead up to tonight. He can mark overhead. He's got that nice jump on him. He provides something a little bit different as a medium tall forward. He kicked 26 goals this year. He won the Rising Star Award at the VFL level, which we know that the Fothergill Round Mitchell medal has been a precursor to being on an AFL list over history. I think, what is it, 10, 12 at the last winners?
It's almost nearing 20 now, I reckon.
Yeah, it's a lot. So, look, we'll see him at AFL level next year, I think. And the Bulldogs have never been afraid of taking mature age players as well at any stage of draft. So, as a player who's going to turn 23 next month, they'll be looking at him as a prospect ready to go. He's actually also completing his medical
I
degree.
was going to say, how smart is he?
Very. He's going to have to put that on hold, or at least
Smarter than all of us.
At least delay it. At least delay it for a little while he goes and focus on his footy. And they've had a mix there. I mean, looking through Hines as a forward mid, Lockie Jakes as the half-back runner, Josh Dolan as another forward midfield option, and then Sam Davidson as a mobile, wiry, aerobic midfield forward option too. So clearly, Tools went on the bucket list or the shopping list for the Western Bulldogs this time around, and they've gone for some of the more mobile options.
Now, I like what the Western Bulldogs have done, same as Port Adelaide. So Geelong back on the clock as we start to round out this third round of the draft. And just going back to what Geelong have done tonight is they have put some bids on. That's exactly what they have done. But they took Dave Polkinghorne, eventually a tall forward, about 191 centimetres. So that's what they've done with pick 44. They've still got another couple of selections, and they've made their pick pretty quickly here. What are they looking for, do you think, the Cats at this selection?
Well, they go their own way most times.
They do.
Yeah,
It's not really best available either, is it? Because they like these left field selections.
I mean, we know a Geelong draft pool usually comprises a smoky from South Australia, a player from Geelong's outer east, some local prospect at
Someone playing waffle reserves. They like all of them, don't they?
Hey, they keep us on our toes at least.
and a Geelong Falcon at some point as well. And generally, there's one or two of them end up a pretty good player. So we wait.
One or two of them, they all do. We'll see what the Cats do.
All right, the pick is in, and we pick 52. The Geelong Football Club
So
has
Polkinghorne, who was taken earlier as well.
selected Jacob Mollier from Sturt Football Club, and he is a big boy, 201 centimetres.
Yeah, ruckman tall forward, clearly who can do a bit of both. But he was able to dominate that stage of this season in the ruck, average about 20 hit outs, as well as hitting the scoreboard occasionally as well. He's a bit of a project player, and I think they've clearly seen enough in him to say this guy's going to take it on.
If you're new guys, don't forget to drop a like, also drop a sub too.
To be able to run 2.92 seconds in his 20-metre sprint, there's some real agility there to make sure that at AFL level in the future, and he'll be given time to progress and develop, he'll be able to get around the ground as well. Interestingly enough, they went to Alex Dodson, and they've obviously chosen Jacob Mollier ahead of Alex Dodson, who's still on the board, the All-Australian, South Australian ruckman. So he's still on the board, and I'm fascinated now to see where that goes. There hasn't been too many ruckmen taken at this point of the draft so far. Clearly, there's not as much of a team need across the board this year.
And our teammates together at Sturt this year, obviously, Mollier and Alex Dodson both sharing the ruck duties there.
Do you think because you have to put so much time into those taller rucks, and then often clubs poach ones that are already developed?
It's a hard position to recruit.
It is.
It's a very hard position to
feel
recruit.
that, don't you?
100% right, Matt. They take a long time to go, and then when they do, they find it difficult to get opportunities because only 18 can play every week, obviously, unless you go with the dual ruck, which you don't see much anymore. So it's a difficult position to recruit. But Jacob Mollier, the Sturt ruck, coming off the ball there.
Yeah, fantastic news for him and his family. And with pick 53,
there we go.
St Kilda have selected a ruck, the All-Australian ruck that we were just talking about in Alex Dodson, who is 203 centimetres, probably still growing. I don't know how many times taller that is than me, but it is much, much taller, and he has had such a sensational season.
He has. He's obviously flipped between basketball and footy and taken some of his basketball skills into his footy career. Riley, he averaged 24 disposals and 27 hit-outs in the last month of Sturt's under-18 season. So his work around the ground is a part of his appeal. We saw a little bit of different stages throughout this year, and that's
comes off the board here. He had a big choice to make about halfway through the year. Does he keep playing footy or does he switch to basketball? Because he'd been juggling both throughout the course of his junior career. He had Division 1 college opportunities to go over to the United States and play basketball at collegiate level in the
Ian, you
United
don't
States
get
as well.
stuff like us drop a sub as I am watching the draft as well and listening to it. Happy with our two selections, and I think a key defender and a key forward is what we need. No, we are going to...
What have you thought of what St Kilda have done so far in this draft in totality?
I mean, yeah, they've strengthened a number of areas of the field, and that started last night with Toby Travalia, obviously, and Alex Taru as well. So they've tried to strengthen a number of the field, number of areas of the field, and they've done that now. And they brought in the midfield with their last pick in Huboxall, and now they go with the ruck option. And they need the ruck option because, of course, they tried to get Ivan Soldo during this year's trade period. They were unable to do that. He obviously stayed at Port Adelaide where he was contracted. So they've been looking for more support behind Rowan Marshall, and they bring that in with Alex Dodson.
Okay, so we've got two more selections to go, Riley, in round 3 of this draft, and then we're moving on to the third round. So we've still got Sydney and Collingwood to make some selections. The Sydney Swans, just take us through who they've already selected so far in this draft.
Yeah, they've taken a couple of players. Obviously started last night with Ned Bowman and Jesse Tolley, the two forwards that will add to their mix. And they've had a couple of picks, obviously, tonight. It's going to be an interesting call for them here at 54 as well, because we've seen them pass on a bid for Joel Cochran. So clearly they didn't want this pick here at 54 to get blown out any further. So we'll wait and see who they take. But it's obviously someone they would have had their eye on in order to keep this pick. They also took Riley Bice, who's the 24-year-old VFL player that came out of Werribee this year.
Luke Kennedy as well is another one who could be in the mix.
Okay. Wait, so.
Okay, Luke Kennedy, we'll jot that name down. And then Collingwood as well. Collingwood have the next pick and they've taken Joel Cochran. So just the one selection for the Collingwood Football Club tonight. Still a couple to come, as we say. They had a very, very busy trade period indeed. Dan Houston headlining their new recruits for 2025 season. And so it'll be interesting to see how the Pies go again after missing finals this season. All right, so Sydney still on the clock with 1 minute and 34 seconds still to go. Why can't they be more like the Bulldogs?
We'll wait and see what they do. And a bid is pending, Nat. So
Sydney's back.
Sydney's back, and it's on Lucas Campriali, the other Carlton father-son prospect following Ben Campriali. They matched a bid earlier in the piece on Ben, and I'm sure they'll match a bid here for Lucas as well.
Okay, so Lucas Campriali, more of an outside player as we have discussed before, but we expect both of these boys to be at the Carlton Football Club in 2025, which is really exciting for Blues fans. His father Scott, I remember watching him play a 1995 Carlton Premiership player who's an absolute star, Scott Campriali. So fantastic for the Blues to have another couple of father-sons, and the twins there, obviously. Plenty of twins in this year's draft. We have the Whitlock boys, Jack and Matt, of course. Jack getting drafted earlier tonight. A long wait for him after missing out last night, but he was taken at pick 33 by the Port Adelaide Football Club. Matt, obviously, taken last night to North Melbourne after a little bit of a bombshell where North Melbourne and Richmond did a trade. The Tigers had the last selection of night 1. And then they traded that out for a future first from North Melbourne so they could get in. And there you go. So Carlton have matched the bid as we all expected. So pick 54, Lucas Campriali officially becomes a Blue.
He certainly does, Nat. And he's a lot different to his brother Ben in the sense Ben is more of an inside player. He is the outside accumulator. He's got that run and gun power on the wing. He came in similarly matched. Came into the year similarly matched with his brother Ben. He's had a really good year at sample level with Glenelg as well. So he wins a lot of the footy, wins a lot of uncontested footy, but of course that's such an important role at AFL level now, the ability to have running power, the ability to have that sort of endurance on a wing. So he's been able to show that right the way through the year with both Glenelg and South Australia in the champs as well. And Carlton will be racked with their night now. So they managed to welcome in Harry O'Farrell, that followed Jagger Smith. They did the big trade to get up to pick 3. And now they've got the two Campriali brothers, which is what they wanted out of the course of these 2 nights.
So Lucas is a left footer and Ben is a right footer, and I'm told they're fraternal twins, so they're not identical.
No, they're not, but you might see them in opposite wings for the Blues in years to come.
Yelling at each other.
Yelling at each
They
other.
are vocal, aren't they, on the field?
Competitive too, as always,
Very
as
much
you
so.
would be. I like that. Good to have you back with us, Cal, for this final kick off. Oh no. No, Sydney still have to make another. Oh, I'm getting lost here. So Sydney,
Getting excited.
obviously, I did. I was like, we're into the fourth round, but this is the third round still. So obviously, Carlton matching that bid, which means Sydney is back on the clock. Maybe they're buying some more time. Maybe they'll do another Bidney.
I wonder if they'll look at Jasper Alba at this point as well. He's still on the board.
Are you surprised he's still on the board?
Yeah, I'm a little bit. Yep, because clubs were considering inside that top 30. That was real, and he's still there. And that's the way things can fall sometimes. The seas can part a little bit, and sometimes they just don't find a home because other clubs are pretty tightly linked to different players. So he's still there. Hamish Davis is still there as well. Luke Urquhart. And as I spoke about, Riak Andrew, I think has been in the Swans mix as well as an intercept defender. The clubs have had a close look at him too.
Okay, well maybe they'll do another bid and maybe it'll be Riak Andrew and Melbourne will have a decision then to make if they match that one or not. But as I say, Sydney now on the clock. Jesse Detoli, Sam Marshall, they put a bid on him. So they have done a fair bit of bidding tonight actually, all across the draft. And then they took Ned Bowman, who is a forward, and then Riley Bice, of course, a mature age player, as we spoke about. So that was their lone pick from tonight. They did a lot of work last night. I did like this vision that I saw of Jesse Detoli sitting on a couch surrounded by family and friends. He already had a Swans scarf on, and he was just sitting there cool as a cucumber because I think he'd been given a heads up that the Swans were going to select him last night.
We'll get plenty of excitement from Jesse Detoli over the next couple of years, as we will with Ned Bowman, who, of course, provided probably the highlight of underage football this year with that marking took at sample level. And I reckon he's one that's going to provide plenty of content for the AFL platforms over his career as well, because he's a highlight machine.
Love that. We do love a good highlight. Who's got the best highlights? Do you think it's Isaac Kako out of this draft pool? Because I've watched his quite a few times.
He's pretty good. Yeah, he'd be right up there. And everyone loves a small forward. The small forwards are absolutely in vogue, aren't they, the way the final series unfolded for the Brisbane Lions, for Geelong, for Hawthorn, of course, as well. So his timing is really good. And we had Amish Ogilvy on the show on Gettable a couple of days ago, and he spoke about how he would have loved to have Isaac Kako as part of that sort of top 5 or 6 selections. Obviously, the Crows were locked in to Sid Drayton, but that was part of their decision making.
Okay, so the pick is
Oh, you're joking.
So Sydney is living strong at the moment. We like it. Thank you to Kimmy Beatson and the Sydney recruiting team for keeping us entertained. So Riak Andrew is, of course, the player that they have made a play for. He's attached to Melbourne's Next Generation Academy. He's the younger brother of Mac Andrew, obviously signing that mega deal at the Gold Coast Suns just a few months ago, Riley. Gosh, that was a massive deal. Obviously has a few KPIs and things that he needs to hit along the way, which helps out the Gold Coast Suns should he get injured. But he is a massive talent. Just tell me the difference between Riak and Mac.
Well, he's taken a little bit more time to develop. I would doubt Melbourne would match this. This has been the sort of the communication throughout the sort of period as well within the Andrew family, and knowing that was probably the more likely outcome as well. Melbourne's got a pick later to come later in the piece as well. So that's probably the way the clubs have felt that would be if it did come on Riak Andrew. The clubs out there felt that they would probably leave that to be let him join another club.
And let's not forget as well, he's a year older, so he's 19 this year, and then we see Melbourne have passed on that opportunity to max the bid. So Riak Andrew is heading to Sydney, a year older, returned to Dandenong Stingrays this year as a top age player, as an over-age player, and had a really good campaign, sort of flourished as the year came on.
He improved as the year went on, and I thought that the back end of his year was definitely better than the start, and he's shown some growth. So clearly the Swans have seen enough to say we think he can grow even further in our program. Had some injuries in recent couple of years as well that sort of inhibited some of that progress, but definitely can go for his marks. There's elements of his brother's game to him in the way he glides in the air sometimes. So they'll be hoping for the same sort of talent that his brother obviously possesses.
Wonder if he could also play both ends of the ground. I mean, that's something that we talk about with Mac Andrew all the time. Where's his best position? As Collingwood have made the final selection of the third round of this year's draft. So this is pick 56 that we are up to currently, as we wait and see what the Pies have done. So far, Joel Cochran, that's the other player that they have selected. That was obviously a Sydney Academy player, and the Swans decided to pass on that. So he's a really athletic runner that the Pies have already secured in this year's draft. And
Charlie West as well.
And Charlie, that's right. Sorry, I forgot Charlie. Sorry, Charlie. And Will Hayes from the Claremont Football Club now becomes a Collingwood player.
Will Hayes is a general forward.
Tell us a little bit about Will from WA.
Well, he's a smaller type. He's only 180 centimetres, so they've had a range now. They've got their couple of tools. Clearly, the Pies have picked up a player from the West, from Claremont. He's a good ball user. He's pretty nifty with the ball in his hands around goal as well, and he can hit targets in and out of traffic. So he's a player that clearly will take some time, given he's a lighter frame, but has the step and can do some damage with the ball in his hands. And had his moments throughout the carnival for Western Australia in a team that probably at the start of the carnival wasn't rated too highly, but as the carnival went on, they played really strongly as a group. I think they all benefited from that progress.
Okay, so there's going to be a little break here as we reset for the fourth round of this year's draft. And just a reminder off the top, we had Cal saying that we would get to pick 71, so 71 selections in this year's draft. And Riley has trumped in with 70. So if it was 71, it would be the most selected since 2018. We've obviously had quite a few less selections over the last couple of years. So right now we're at 55. We'll just take a minute now to recap what's happened in the third round. And Sydney had the first pick of the third round. They're taking Riley Bice and adding him, a mature age player, to their stocks. And then there's been quite a few bids in this round, Riley.
I was going to say, it's the round of bids. So Ty Gallop, Ben Campriali, you can see there as well. Joel Cochran, that was passed up upon. Cooper Bell, that was passed up upon. So it's been the round of bids. Riak Andrew as well. Lucas Campriali came into it there. A couple of rucks went off the board here as well, notably the two Sturt rucks with him, two picks in Jacob Mollier and then Alex Dodson. So, yeah, it's been an interesting round, but we're about to see the fourth round begin. North Melbourne back on the clock. They've had their eyes on a couple of players already. I believe they were trying to work the phones a little bit earlier today, Carol, to trade back in potentially to the early parts of the second and then third round. They were unsuccessful in doing that, and then I think once they were unsuccessful with the few calls they made, they've sort of said, right, let's just wait and see. They'll take one more pick, I reckon, and then either wait for a bid for River Stevens or just take River Stevens with their last live selection.
Yeah.
And just refreshing for everyone who doesn't know, River Stevens is the son of Anthony Stevens, so a club legend there at the North Melbourne Football Club.
There are some clubs that are about to hit the clock that have had a pretty big gap within their first and second pick. So North Melbourne initially meant to start this draft with picks 2 and 62. Obviously they went back in last night for the last pick of the first round and got Matt Whitlock. They made that big trade, but they had that gap that they had to navigate. Adelaide, who were about to come on the clock as well. They had pick 4, they've now got pick 59. They hadn't had a selection in between that, so they're about to come back onto the clock in the next couple of picks. In between them as well, sandwiched in between them, we'll get Gold Coast and Brisbane. So Gold Coast have now maxed a bit on Leo Lombard. They came back into the draft. They took Cooper Bell, the Giants Academy prospect. They were able to get him to the football club because the bid wasn't matched by the Giants. Brisbane are about to be back on the clock with about 4 or 5 selections or so as well, with their first live pick at this year's draft. They've taken 3 players. Yeah. They've got Levi Ashcroft, they've got Sam Marshall, they've got Ty Gallop. They haven't actually been able to call any of these names, so they've had to match Academy and filed some bids on them, but they're about to hit the clock again with pick 60. So about 4 picks time, they'll be on the clock with their first live pick.
And when do you expect clubs to maybe start passing at this stage of the draft? Is it a little bit later, maybe around...
Soon.
Soon, you
think?
Yeah,
soon, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Because obviously, will some of them save list spots for rookie pre-season?
You don't have to have the same amount of senior listed players on your list, so every club can control that differently within parameters. So they can leave open a spot extra for the rookie list, have a couple more rookies than they have senior listed players for salary cap purposes, because rookies are different sort of salary cap mechanisms other than senior listed players, so that's part of the thinking there. And also some will want to leave some space open for the SSP period, which we know has been really successful. If the clubs are a little bit dicey.
Yeah, I agree.
Eagle,
John, like key defender, key forward. I think I wanted a key defender, like that Murphy replacement. I just another key forward in case like Mycheck or Cox retire. I think that would definitely be handy as well. So, and then a general forward. So, can't wait. Like, I'm glad I did stream
well,
both nights of it.
in
Oh, I
Richmond,
thought it was
who's
running
playing
late
there
because I had
as
basketball, and
players
that's
St Kilda.
understandable.
David Cunningham is a chance as well as a rookie from Carlton to Sydney. Ben Patton the same from St Kilda to the Giants. So this is some opportunities from ex-AFL players potentially getting some lifelines elsewhere through train-on opportunities.
There's so many different avenues to get onto an AFL list now, which is really exciting. We obviously have the mid-season rookie draft as well, which is just another avenue which has we've blooded some really good players from that mechanism as well. So it's really exciting, and I think the message too is if you miss out tonight, not all hope is lost. You can go away, play VFL footy, play local footy, sample whatever it is, and then you
I'll
can
be back,
prove
guys.
yourself and try and get back in.
one. And then I think we're about to start seeing clubs pass on selections very soon. I mean, Carlton, as you can see there, pick 64 coming up, they wanted to use 4 picks, 2 live picks, and then the reality boys make a bid on them, the father-son duo. So fully expecting them to pass with their picks. So they might be the first club to start reading out pass.
Well, let's just revisit what Essendon have done so far in this draft. Last night it was all about Isaac Kako. They matched a bid for their small forward. It was Richmond who placed that bid, and that was never in doubt that they were going to match that one. The Bombers, and then as you mentioned, Kyle Brown there, the ruck forward, Angus Clark off half back. So that was a little trade with the Saints, I think it was, to swap that around. So here we go, and another trade is in. We're getting trade happy, Cal. What have we got?
Collingwood has traded pick 62 to the Western Bulldogs for a future 4th round selection.
You can guarantee one thing, the Western Bulldogs will take no time in taking that pick. They know exactly who they're taking.
They want.
We like that from the Bulldogs. They are very targeted tonight, and the pick is in for Essendon. So we wait and see what they do with pick 61, which is there. If I can do maths properly, this is their 4th selection for tonight. Not for tonight, but for the draft. And it is Reece Unwin, who they have selected from the Rebels with pick 61. Cal, just tell us about Reece and what you like about him.
Well, he's a small forward with some go. That's simple as that. So they've obviously grabbed Isaac Kako earlier in the piece. He's different to him. He gets a little bit more up the ground and takes the game on, which you see here. And we saw it for Big Country through the carnival as well. He's got some speed, and they've wanted to add an extra couple of small forwards to their mix. Now they grab Reece Unwin, who's got the tackling and defensive pressure elements to his game too. So it has that good balance and was ranked by a lot of clubs around this point of the draft. I think everyone really liked Reece Unwin. Just a matter of anyone was going to take him in that sort of back half or back 20 selections as the Bombers have clearly nabbed him here.
Well, you said earlier in the night, last night, sorry, Cal, that you wouldn't have been surprised if Essendon went back to back with small forwards. If they had a trade back in, it might have been for someone like Joe Berry, who could have potentially added their small forward stocks. Clearly, they came into this draft needing to replenish their small forward stocks. They were always going to do that with Isaac Kako, and now they've got another one, Reece Unwin, who's over year and you said, shown plenty of upside.
Well, this put the pressure on some of their small forwards already at the footy club as well. And it tends sort of Anthony McDonald's forward, he left the footy club, but also a couple of years before that when he was sort of past that peak era of his damaging inside forward 50 work. They haven't had that sort of presence around goal. So the game has shifted in favour of these small forwards. We've been speaking about that tonight, but also in recent weeks and months as they've come really into vogue, and they've clearly identified that as a need. You bring in Kako, and now Unwin is probably more of an up the ground run back. I'd say he's more of a Joe Berry type than a type who's like Isaac Kako.
Alright, the Western Bulldogs are back on the clock, and as we predicted, they wouldn't take too much time. So they traded into pick 62 for a future 4th round pick, so they want to get back into this part of the draft. And the pick is in now, and the Western Bulldogs will wait to see what they've done. They've generally been a club, though, Cal, that want to get their picks done relatively early. So we'll see which way the Western Bulldogs go with this selection to get that done a little bit. The pick is in, and they've taken Luke Kennedy from the Sandringham Dragons, another one of these Sandy players coming into the football club.
And a midfielder who was so consistent again. Like this is a guy who played a star-studded midfield unit for the Sandringham Dragons, but was able to hold his own throughout the year. He was able to show his work rate. I'd sort of compare him to that Alex Neil-Bullen type of midfielder. Nothing overly flashy, but when he goes into the middle and can push forward, gets his work done there. So averaged nearly 20 touches a game for the Sandringham Dragons across their season in their premiership year, and also finished runner-up for the Best and Fairest award. Had a few clubs around this range showing some interest in him.
So they've wanted to replenish their midfield stocks. We said that throughout the course of last night and tonight as well. Obviously, they lost Bailey Smith and Jack McRae during the trade period. They brought in Matt Kennedy. They wanted to bring in Xavier O'Halloran, and they were unsuccessful in being able to wrench him out. They went to Sydney, where he is contracted, but they've been able to bring in some midfield depth. Tripp Hines is someone that played more as a forward throughout his weekend with the Stingrays, that can go through the midfield. Josh Dolan is someone that can play through the midfield. They also got Sam Davidson, who's that mature age who plays with some VFL. Here's their full list of picks. So they've now taken 5 picks across the course of the 2 nights. The Western Bulldogs should be wrapped with their work as Fremantle.
Yeah, Fremantle. So Murphy Reid taken at pick 17, and then 34 they had Charlie Nichols, who is a versatile piece forward. So that
Finally, internet's working. So, Jaron Carr's a general forward. Nolan Morales as well. That's good pickup. Yeah, they definitely need Ruffin Nesson and Port definitely need midfielders. Angus Clark, yeah. I agree. Harry O'Farrell, key defender. Certainly that's a replacement, alright. Ben Camperelli's a midfielder. Yeah, done well there. You got a bid on that. Why not? And poking hole to the Cats as well, which they had. And Joel Cochrane, key defender, Sydney Academy, they decided against it. And then obviously Charlie West is the key forward. So we've done pretty well with that. Sam Davison's a general forward. Alexander Dodson. It's one of them we might have him. As a backup, Lucas Camperelli. Will Hayes got picked up as a general forward for the Pies. Luke Urquhart is a midfielder. So companions, consistency, pressure. Kicking's a question mark, but pretty sure they'll work on that. Players like Tom Liberatore. Bar Allen's expected to go to West Coast. There's a few passes as well, which I think you can't expect. If I didn't have basketball, I would have definitely streamed from 7 o'clock onwards. Um, yeah. Now the rookie draft is on tomorrow. Dennis, yeah, I know that we were interested in him too, so I don't know why. Well, they got a midfielder, they got a general defender, but they need a key defender. I do think that if Jeremy McGovern retires, they need one for Brass, I would say. He's a general forward, Hamish Davis, and he's a bargain buyer. Now the Cats is on the clock. Football IQ, endurance, sport form, foot skills, question marks. And he plays like Will Haywood. Lennox Hoffman, a general defender, but there's a potential bid now. Remember, Collingwood had the Sydney key defender, and also the fact that Melbourne could have bid on Andrews and they didn't. Wow, so the Saints aren't matching a bid on that. Speed, intercepting, composure, volume is question mark. Play tuck Zach Guthrie. River Stevens, so he's the son of Anthony Stevens. He was a very good player for North Melbourne too. He's a genuine forward as well. Anthony Stevens was a midfielder. So I'm glad they are picking up these sort of fast sons. And St Kilda whinge about not picking up players. Oh, they whinge about fast sons. But yeah, they didn't even bid on their academy players. So it just tells you something, doesn't it? It doesn't matter where you are in the draft. You could be a good player or you may not be a good player. It doesn't always guarantee that you're going to be good. It might take you a while to be good. Some players take longer than others. And that is a fact. And they decided to pass Adelaide, so now Melbourne's on the clock.
River, have you met Clarko? Have you had anything to do with him yet? And are you looking forward to working with the legendary coach? Good answer because he was listening to us there, Bogan. Well, River, this is a magical night for you, your dad, and the entire family. Congratulations. I think there'll be plenty of North Melbourne fans who are just delighted by this news tonight. Well done. Well done, Dad. Well done to Anthony Stevens there. He's incredibly pleased. Another great story. I mean, we've said it countless times tonight. The father son stories are the most heartwarming that we have on Drive Time. You know, family links are something that I think our game does better than any other game.
Rack Andrew. He's older, wow. And I don't know if we'll get one more. I think we might pass. Aiden Johnson. He's a key forward too. St Kilda decide to pass.
So we've just had a few passes while you've been chatting there, Nick. Adelaide and St Kilda have passed from out of the draft. So to recap, the clubs that have passed their picks and have finished for tonight, it was Carlton, Brisbane, Hawthorn, Adelaide and St Kilda. And I believe Fremantle as well. So we're going to see
So St Kilda have definitely passed. Freo had definitely passed. Collingwood's on the clock.
and they've finished their drafting. But, you know, don't lose hope. Those guys still at home. If not tonight, there are still other opportunities. We know it's such an agonising night. We really do feel for you watching at home.
I think we might go for one, and I think that's it. That would be a night.
Yeah, you have the pick 69%.
Oh no, we pass. I thought we'll go for one more. I think we'll now because we got Johnson and Markov. Picky's in between no pass. Yep, Geelong. Tyler Walsh. However, if you and you don't get to drop a like and drop a sub as well, draft is nearly finished. Pick 69 is in. It doesn't look like they will pass. Sydney does have the next pick. Kyton McAfee Forbes, a general forward. So they've got their forward line intact. Geelong do have kids, and that's a good thing because Geelong are in for the now, and while they've got the draft and they can get the kids right too, they can try and get these kids going and get them experience, get them, up to AFL standard. Geelong do it better than anybody else. I I hate when Geelong do it, but you have to admire that because it's their ability. They pass now West Coast. But they got another two more. I think that will do. I think they will just pass. Peak is in. They pass. And they're gonna pass again. You watch, they'll pass again. Richmond will pass, and West Coast will pass, and Gold Coast will pass. There's no way in the world that they will. I was right. I was right. They passed. I don't think they need to do any more. I think they can just pass. They got like three key forwards, at least. Yeah, three key forwards, stringing forward, a key defender, and they got three midfields. I think Smiley will be good. They will definitely be good. I think with Train, I'm a bit worried about his concussions. Fowler and Armstrong, I think they'll be great. Toby Sims, I think he might be as a backup, but I reckon they'll play some VFL. I think what you'll see with Richmond is when Lynch retires, it opens up for these kids to develop, get some games into them, and you'll see they'll be good. And that now Richmond have passed. Next, have passed. West Coast, so I don't think. I think they'll be wrapped. Jen Carr, yeah, Jaron Carr's the father's son too, so not bad, not bad. I think that's a good thing.
So what do the Saints have left then?
So Essendon got that picking. Zach Johnston's a midfielder. Is he father and son? Kicking's good, run, carry, kick, leadership, damage is the only thing. place like Jack Bowes. Then you see they'll pass. Logan Smithy's academy from the Giants. Geez, a Rockman. Finally they get a Rockman. Rockcraft, he scored stoppage gain upside, enjoys his question marks. Does he play like Brody Grundy? Or does he play like one later pass? Plays like Tom DeConey. Wow. That's good. Oh, looks like Essendon have passed. Yeah, so they're past. They don't know. Key for general defender, two midfields. Allen's gonna be soft. No doubt about it. Now passing this and so Logan Smith is the last pick in the draft. I think Essendon may pick one more. So the Bombers have officially passed. Jeez. I don't think they'll. I don't think. Oh, the pick is in. I think they might pass. Alright. That's it. Alright, well done. Okay. Gentlemen, that is it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is generally it. Generally, that is it. Okay. How much of it that I have streamed is on my Alright. Okay. So, yeah, I think that will do. I think. So, yeah, I think that will do. The draft has been successful. Happy on who we've picked up. But we'll see how we go. Definitely. Picked up key forward, key defender, and a general forward. I know we're going to do AJ and also Markov in the rookie draft tomorrow. So I think that's the reason why that we passed on that. But having said that, yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way it has gone well. Richmond won night one of the draft, not gonna lie. They did what they needed to do. But having said that, we got a key defender from the Swans Academy, and I'm surprised they didn't do it. But obviously, like when if they're going to. But yeah, I think we'll see. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Don't forget to drop a like as well as dropping a sub. Bye for now.